But the goal today is to head out across I90, starting here at its easternmost point and heading west all the way over to Lee, Massachusetts, right in the Berkshires, and just taking a look really at every single fast charging CCS location along the Masspike. Welcome to another plug and play EV video in the frozen northeast right now at the Logan airport, the Shell recharge location. Just actually one of the only Shell recharge locations in the country. We're here about a year later after testing it. You can watch the video last year, 2019, thinking maybe this would become some kind of hub and first point of the Shell recharge brand expanding out across the states. Hasn't really happened. Bit of a false start on that one, with just a few locations in California going live after this one, but it's still complimentary, still free. Got a little bump up on the range here for the trip. We've got Torque Pro running, as you'll see. We've started up a couple of fast chargers already, so a little bit of cold weather testing. But the real goal is to look at the state of the infrastructure in fast charging infrastructure, at least in Massachusetts, for CCS vehicles as we come to the end of 2020. So there are 14 locations that we'll visit along here. We start in Boston, so obviously we're at the easternmost point of I90 here. Just that starts a little north of Logan Airport here in Boston. Downtown, there's actually not that many options. We will probably swing by here just quickly, a 25 kilowatt ChargePoint station at Whole Foods Market. Then there's an EVgo downtown at Copley Place, which we may or may not go into. And then we'll move out along the Masspike heading west, check out some of the service areas and some of the other places.
Take the next left onto A Street.
So the first one we'll look at, it's just, I don't even know if it'll be on. I'm not really worried if it's not. It's just one of those ChargePoint early 25 kilowatt units that was part of the Charge Now program through BMW. It's at a Whole Foods Market. It's going to be regularly iced. It has a very low plug share rating. Tesla here on the first plug. We'll see if this one works for the CCS. It's the least imaginative vanity plate possible. You can see how close it is here. I'll overlay this on the screen as well. So we are at the spanner, the one with the wrench. Not under repair as it seems to suggest, but that's what it's trying to say. The one along here at Copley Place is underneath a parking garage, which does say you can get your parking validated, but I really don't want to mess around with that today. Two station 50 kilowatt EVgo location. Right in the back bay, so it's quite a nice area. We'll drive past it as we get on I90, but we're already losing a bit of time here, and I want to get on the road, so we're heading west and making sure we can check out every station on this trip. I'm going to keep the heater running, as I said. We'll look at the you can see this is just medium fast charging right here. Doesn't even count it as fast, but for the sake of remembering, we've got these numbers. I'll put them up on the screen again. We haven't reset here, so this is all from previous journeys, but I can extract the numbers we've used on this journey from what I've recorded earlier. It's just slow here. It's drawing some of the energy. This would normally pull around 19 to 20 kilowatts, but not much going on there. And yeah, we'll jump on I90, head west, and free this up so that it can undoubtedly be iced in the next 5 or 10 minutes. Let's move. So this is us starting up onto I90 as the lights turn green here. The bigger building that you'll see to the left is the Prudential Center, and right next to it is Copley Place. So that's where there's an EVgo 250 kilowatt station, and Prudential Center there's an urban supercharger. So you have very similar options here. Urban superchargers being 72 kilowatt stations, and obviously the EVgo just being a regular 50 kilowatt. So coming up on Framingham Service Plaza, this is the first option as you head west on I90. You should see EV charging signs as well. There you go, just below the Framingham Plaza sign on the left here, there's a sign Fast EV and a plug on the end. Get plugged in and look at why this is good and bad in some ways. Navigate the slalom of cars. Being kept clear, that's pretty handy. We're on a 50 kilowatt EVgo station, pulling 43 kilowatts. Battery temperature up to a nice toasty 64 degrees Fahrenheit. Air temperature is still hovering at 16 degrees. Battery heater was on about 1.7, 1.8 kilowatts. It's now down to 1 kilowatt and falling below that, so it's obviously not seeing much need for much more. I've talked about the ups and downs of these stations before. I'll probably do them a bit more as we head further west, because I want to get going. And we're in good shape to head on to Auburn, Massachusetts. But basically you can see, I mean, this was no problem getting in. People seem to be respecting the EV spaces to an extent, but you know, once it gets busy and people need a parking space, they will take this spot. You know, the positive is that it frees up pretty quickly. But I'm going to get moving on now. Approaching Auburn, Massachusetts now. It's also a junction for I-295 and I-395 heading north or south.
Take exit 10.
Get off here and go and see a variety of chargers at the Auburn Mall. So we'll do a drive-by here.
Your destination is on the left.
VW e-Golf. EVgo station is one of those infrequent ones where you have just one CCS, and that one to the right there is actually a CHAdeMO only. So we'll take a look at that. That's a bit of legacy kit that may get replaced eventually, but you can see these are definitely older EVgos, although they are both 50 kilowatt. And the level 2 charger there has been removed for whatever reason. Let's see if we can find this supercharger.
Your destination is on the left.
I'll do a photo. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 here. There you go. They've been useful today. So we're on the 150 kilowatt. 2 350 kilowatt stations right there. And if we look at the rest, I'm betting they're all 150 kilowatt from what I recall. Except for your CHAdeMO plug here. This isn't the standard for Electrify America site. You know, more often than not, you're going to see 4 of these things, one of which will be 350 kilowatts, and the others will be 150 kilowatts. But you know, this is comparable to a supercharger. In fact, it's superior to this particular supercharger, which is just over behind this parking garage here on the other side of the mall. It does match this for stalls, has 8 of them, but that is a V2 supercharger, and that's up to 150 kilowatts. So compared to, this matches them for CCS plugs, 150 kilowatts, and you also have the 2 350 kilowatt stations. So pretty much maximum rate that you're going to see in a Bolt at this state of charge. It's 27% right now. That will slowly pump up to 55 kilowatts, maybe just a little bit less than 55, depending on, or it'll start ping-ponging. What's going on here? Okay, hopefully that's just a temporary fluctuation. It's starting to taper down now a little bit at 50%. That probably started a bit before 50%, to be honest, but I wasn't really watching. And also, unfortunately, I can't tell you when the battery heater stopped moving because I was recording other videos, so I should have watched that a bit more carefully. But we will try and capture a full cold weather session in the 2020 Bolt EV for a future video. But you can see that heater went to work, and I obviously wanted to get the battery temperature closer to something like 80 degrees because it's hit that, and this has shut off somewhere between 70 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit, so no more battery heater action. And getting a bit warmer here, tapering down, and pretty soon we'll be heading off to go further west. It's supposedly limited on the CHAdeMO to 50 kilowatts. I have seen people getting more than that, but whether or not that is reliably so, I don't know. The newest Nissan Leaf with the larger pack, I believe, can charge up to 100 kilowatts, or you know, in that range on CHAdeMO. But again, finding those CHAdeMO stations that are that high power is not that common, unfortunately. Electrify America, which is the high power network for non-Tesla vehicles, doesn't do CHAdeMO officially above 50 kilowatts, and then you've got to kind of rely on either EVgo, which doesn't go much above 50 kilowatts either, or one of the state level networks. Kind of shows, along with the EVgo station up there, which is a little bit older and tired, why CHAdeMO is going to have a bit more of a tough time in the next few years. So you can see, we see here why it's a good job that there are so many of those in place, because although I thought I'd try and plug in here and give it a go, so the IC cable, this is the only CCS plug, and it is currently out of order. Sorry for the inconvenience. For assistance, please call EVgo. Now, obviously, I would have checked this had I wanted to really charge. This was just for me to give the station a go. But it kind of shows you, you know, if this was the only one here, I'd be out of luck, because this is an old CHAdeMO only. Don't see too many of these about where we go, at least. But you can see here, you've got the Nissan and CHAdeMO badging. It's a model from Nissan, so a lot of this, that one's an EVgo ABB. Can't really get it behind, maybe. Have a look. But it seems to be working. Not too bad cable management, everything looks fine. So if you're in a Leaf, you'd be in luck. Let's unplug this. I wonder if it's just the CCS. Yeah, it seems to say that CHAdeMO, or the connector, is okay for the CHAdeMO connector. So if you were in a Leaf, you'd be in good shape to use the EVgo, which you may want to do, because well, it's probably more expensive still, but the only connector that a Leaf could use over there is the one on the right here, 1 times 50 kilowatts, and then all the rest that you see across there are CCS. I think any CCS car that goes above 100 kilowatts will definitely be more interested in those going forward than this one right here, even if it was working. Anyway, time to move on. Next stop, another service plaza, Charlton, Massachusetts. We won't be plugging in probably, but we will take a quick look and then head on to Sturbridge, Massachusetts. Lots of EVgo in the next few hundred miles. So again, another rest area, second of the trip here. Westbound, Charlton, Massachusetts. There is another exactly like it on the other side, a little further up, Eastbound. We'll just stop in here for a quick loo break. And I don't think we'll charge, there's a space there. But still, you can see these things get a little busy. The station is over there. It's currently unoccupied and it's all on and working by the looks of it. But you know, when I went in, no one's in there. In the space, came out, someone's parked in the space, and just as I start to film, they've left. So it's quite a quick turnaround. You know, it's just a regular rest area. People pop in there, you know, do their break, maybe grab a snack, and they're gone in 5-10 minutes. So it's not the worst thing in the world. You're more likely to be held up by another car, another EV charging here, than you are somebody icing it for a long time. You know, these are the example stations where we say perfect location, you know, really well placed, but do they need to be faster? For one, 50 kilowatts is okay for, you know, a few of the current generation, your Leaf, your Bolt, even to an extent your Kona electrics and Nero EVs, even though they can go a little bit faster. For a station where you basically want to get off the road, charge as quick as you can, and get back on the road, as we will do now, you know, it's only been a 10-15 minute break. You would want 150 kilowatt stations here, really. So whilst we enjoy them and we're glad they're there, they have been for the duration of our driving electric vehicles since 2016, 2017, and I think they were installed before that. But you know, right now these are looking a little bit dated, and it would be great to at least get another 2 or 3 stations in here, but there is limited parking, and that could be one of the problems. So you know, the only option then is the gas station behind it, and we start to come into questioning whether we replace some of the gas spaces, because we do have a canopy there, with charging spaces. But for now, what we have is one 50 kilowatt charger, which we've used a lot, but would prefer to have more and faster. So there's my request, 150 kilowatts please, and maybe 4 at a minimum. So next charger is another EVgo location, but it's a little nicer. We'll address the redundancy problem by going to EVgo in Sturbridge, Massachusetts. See you there. Cable's not stiff at all now, it's in the sun there. Some of them have been. Shell recharge was a little bit awkward, but the rest fine, no big deal. So plugged in, we'll say EVgo account, hold card close to reader, done. Press start to begin. A little tough to see the screen in the sun here, but you can just about get it. Starting up on Gilbert. Test your voltage. Be close to 350, 360. Almost 50% state of charge, so we won't be on here too long because it will be by minute and it will be 30 cents, I think. But it is one of the newer ones, not 100 amp, it's 125 amp station. Car's not quite asking for that yet because it's at 50% almost. Let's take a look in the car. Yeah, so it's too close to 50% to pull too much, but we'll go grab some food. The next station is about 40 miles away in Chicopee. Have a quick look at the stations here, and then we'll be back on the road. Panera time. Lunch lunch and a coffee secured, and a little bit of a charge here. 25 minutes till 80%, but we're not interested in that, seeing as we're hitting every charger we can possibly find. The next of which is the first Electrify America station in Massachusetts, and indeed in the United States. We'll finish up our charge here on these nice looking EVgo's. Again, would be even nicer if they were 150 kilowatts, but we are where we are. See what the battery temperature is doing before we unplug. We're at 86 degrees Fahrenheit for the battery temperature. We're up to a balmy, this is still a little off for whatever reason, 30 degrees Fahrenheit air temperature. Cabin heater kicks back up again just to start us warming, but I'll unplug, or maybe I'll show you stop on the thing. It's not much more interesting. You can stop from the car if you need to with the button here, but just for the sake of looking, doesn't give you a summary screen as the Electrify America stations do. That's okay. We'll just take a quick look. As I say, that one's fine. That one we know works. This one looks like the connector had to be replaced for the CCS. CHAdeMO is fine. Seems to say this one's available, but that looks broken. Looks like someone smashed that, or they've just decided not to use it. So that's one CCS out of commission. And this one, if you want to use it, I guess you could. Looks like it's fine, but we're dealing with snow. They've ploughed the space, but they've ploughed the snow into where you'd get, so you'd need boots on for that one. But these ones, one CCS plug out of commission, but that's why we have redundancy, so that we can use the others in that case. Onward to Chicopee.
In a quarter mile, keep right at the fork. Follow signs for Massachusetts 33. Turn right after Subway on the right.
But as you hear, Subway, they have all the usual fast food options. There's a Panera Bread here as well, albeit not as swanky new as the one we just went to. First Electrify America station that went live, May 2018. We did a first 55 kilowatt session on it September 2018, I think. You can see it's a little the worse for wear, a bit dinged up, but you know, if it works, it works. Gonna try starting the charge on ChargePoint to see if that works. I'll show you why right now. But if I go back to Auburn, which will be in the video edit, hopefully, you'll see at the mall, we saw there were 2 sites, but it's only showing one here, and that's the EVgo station. So this is the ChargePoint app looking at EVgo. They have a roaming agreement. You can start this station, or at least you could if that station was operational. We saw that it wasn't. So whatever, maybe we should have tried it. Doesn't matter. It will show you, because this is Google Maps based, that you have the Electrify America station there, but ChargePoint hasn't got to that point. This is a newer Electrify America station than the one we're at now. So you could start a charge, and we have done before, from the ChargePoint app on EVgo. And that would just bill your account. I've done that before, it's fine, it worked. That's old news. Same at Sturbridge, we could have started the charge there. Maybe we'll do it again on the next EVgo site we go to. But here, there is no EVgo site. The one we're at right now, this is the Electrify America station. So normally we don't see this. On most that I've checked, I could not find the Electrify America station in the ChargePoint app. But this one, maybe because it's the first, maybe it's just the test one, has Electrify America. I'm on number 2. You can always check that at the top of the station. It will tell you the charger ID. But you have a start charge here. So if I find number 2, this one, let's get plugged in, and then we'll see if that works. And we'll start the charge. Contacting station. Interesting. So number 2, see that registers, although it says this is 50 kilowatt, that's bizarre. Let's see. Okay, that seems to have got it going, but we'll see if this is limited or not. Not that it really matters on the Bolt TV too much, but we'll see how we start up here. So not the best news at the oldest Electrify America station. We were the first ones here, but it got pretty busy pretty quickly. A Bolt 2019 Bolt pulled up on the station before with the number 4 with the CHAdeMO and CCS. Then an e-tron pulled in and has tried using number 2. I did start a charge on number 3 technically, so we can say that, but it was at 30 kilowatts. Number 2 and 3 seem to be derated with power at 50 kilowatts instead of 150. The e-tron tried on number 2 that we got nothing from, and was able to get 36 kilowatts, which is obviously a disaster in a car that should be able to take 150. But that's a brand new one there as well. So yeah, this is not covering the network in glory after a very good and glowing report for Auburn. This site normally actually is the most reliable. We stop here regularly on the way back and we do pretty well, but I'm not gonna belabor this. There's no real need to charge when we can go to the next station and check that one out anyway. So good luck to the e-tron owner. That's a new car, so this is probably the worst point of it at the moment. So you can see just a single station EVgo, which is fine, except if it's occupied. So we'll take that one as working.
In 50 feet.
Okay, so eastbound on the turnpike. I thought I'd do the takeaways whilst I drive, or at least the things that I've noted as we've headed east out to the kind of outer reaches of Springfield, Massachusetts. Obviously didn't make it all the way to Lee, but again, you're just talking about those last 2 EVgos at the service plazas at Lee, Massachusetts, which are the same as the Charlton, Framingham and Natick ones that we'll see on the way back here. So, you know, cold weather obviously started very low, down at 8 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about as low as we're going to see here. It could get down to 0 Fahrenheit, but really, you know, you're talking about a very similar problem at that point if the battery has cold soaked. That's the first time I've seen the 2020 Bolt TV start up at below 30 kilowatts. You know, usually it ticks up to 29, 30 kilowatts right away, even in the cold weather, and that was what I had pegged the cold weather charging improvements at, that would be your limit, and the lowest it would go. But this is colder weather than we had back in January when we first got the car, the 2020 version at least. So that's the first opportunity I've had to test it that low. I will try and do a full cold weather session. Best you can do in that case is hope that it's charging you per kilowatt hour, so that you don't pay for the time that you're spending, the extra time, or just find a free charger, even better. You know, I don't know that that is always an option, but certainly around here there are free options that we could find that would be superior to sitting on like an EVgo, for example, which is charging you per minute, or an Electrify America, even at the slightly cheaper rate, if you're in a per minute state. So I should have turned this round really, but I came up on me quicker than we thought. Charlton Service Plaza, Eastbound. Turn it round so we can at least see the station. And are we iced? We are not close, but not quite. But you see the amenities you get at these kind of stops. You know, eventually, I guess what has to happen is the forecourt there with all the gas pumps starts to transition to a blend of electric and gas pumps, and after that, who knows? We see the grid serve site in the UK, feel very envious. So at some point, you know, takeaway is there are going to have to be more stations, there are going to have to be faster stations, and they may start taking over the space where the gas pumps are if there are enough electric vehicles on the road. At the moment, the New York Thruway, our neighbouring stretch of I90 after the Masspike, is putting in individual stations kind of like that. So some will be 50 kilowatts, some will be 100 kilowatts, but they are just a placeholder. We've been told the Evolve New York team have said that they intend to get much faster charging, 150 kilowatts, and en masse into these sites once the wider renovations are underway. Just a note on efficiency, now that we are past 200 miles, have a solid stint and journey under our belt. That would be about as far as you'd go on a single charge in the summer. In the winter you're probably closer to 180, 190. But in any case, I mean, that's pretty good. I haven't been so aggressive with the heater. I could have been more, you know, high temperatures, but this was realistic to what I would do on a drive. I don't really need it much hotter than 72 degrees. In general, given the high speeds, the blasting the heater when it was really cold this morning and the very low temperatures we started off in, I would be pretty happy with that. But as far as that goes, you know, this run across 2/3 of Massachusetts, where we're covered by stations, charging stations pretty nicely, 2.5 miles per kilowatt hour on the coldest day that we can probably muster in Massachusetts is not bad at all. I will definitely take that for today.